If you want to learn English faster and enjoy the process, this story is made for you. By listening to real-life events in simple but powerful English, your brain will naturally absorb grammar and vocabulary without you even noticing. That's the magic of storytelling. So hit the subscribe button, like this video, and turn on the notifications. We bring you new and exciting English stories every single day. Now, let's begin the story. Elon Musk had always been known for bold ideas. He had launched rockets into space, built electric cars, and changed the way people thought about energy, transportation, and even human intelligence. But in recent months, something deeper had been forming in his mind, something more personal. It wasn't a new car or a tunnel under a city. It was a decision to return to something he had helped create, OpenAI. Years ago, Elon had supported OpenAI as a nonprofit mission to develop artificial intelligence safely and responsibly. He had believed in its goals deeply. But as time passed, OpenAI became something different. It grew larger, more commercial, and more powerful. Eventually, it partnered with big companies and raised billions of dollars. From the outside, OpenAI looked like a success. But to Elon, it looked like a turning point. He began to worry. Was this the future he had imagined? Or was it becoming something he feared? Late one night, as the city lights of Los Angeles glowed outside his window, Elon sat alone in his office. Papers were spread across his desk. News reports, research documents, and internal memos from technology experts lay open in front of him. He leaned back in his chair, stared at the ceiling, and asked himself a question that wouldn't go away: what if I took it back? It wasn't just about control. It was about direction. Elon believed that artificial intelligence could either help humanity or harm it deeply. And he feared that OpenAI, under pressure from investors and partners, might move too fast or in the wrong direction. In the weeks that followed, Elon began to explore the idea seriously. He reached out to advisors, legal experts, and friends in the tech world. Some of them thought the idea was brilliant. Others warned him that it would be complicated. OpenAI was no longer a small nonprofit. It was a major company with partnerships, investors, and powerful stakeholders. Still, Elon moved forward. He drafted a letter. It was formal, direct, and carefully written. In it, he expressed his respect for the people at OpenAI and their achievements. But he also offered something bold: a full buyout of the company. The letter was delivered quietly, through private channels, not through public media. Elon didn't want attention. Not yet. He wanted a real conversation, not headlines. The team at OpenAI received the letter early on a Tuesday morning. The leadership met privately in a quiet room, away from the rest of the staff. No one was allowed to bring in phones or laptops. The atmosphere was tense but calm. The proposal surprised them. Elon was not just anyone. He had helped launch OpenAI in the early days. His letter wasn't filled with emotion, it was filled with logic, vision, and a promise to fund the next stage of research at a higher level than ever before. For hours, the OpenAI board discussed the offer. Some members were intrigued. After all, Elon had the resources, knowledge, and public attention to lead a company into the future of AI. Others were cautious. They worried that Elon's approach might be too aggressive or unpredictable. Outside the building, no one knew what was happening. The media hadn't heard anything. The staff kept working as usual, unaware that the future of their company was being discussed behind closed doors. As the sun began to set that evening, the board reached a decision. It was not easy and not everyone agreed. But the majority believed that staying independent was the right choice. They would not accept Elon's offer. The reply was delivered the next morning. It was respectful but firm. The board thanked Elon for his interest, acknowledged his past support, and expressed hope for future collaboration. But they made it clear, OpenAI was not for sale. When Elon received the response, he read it slowly. He didn't get angry. Instead, he stared out the window for a long time, watching the quiet movement of the city far below. A storm was forming in his thoughts, but it wasn't the end of the story. It was just the beginning. And behind the scenes, his next move was already taking shape. The rejection did not come as a shock to Elon Musk. Deep inside, he had expected it. He knew the people at OpenAI were proud of their work and valued their independence. But still, something about the refusal felt too final, too cold. It was not just a business decision, it was a message. He sat alone in a quiet room in Austin, Texas, far from the cameras and meetings. The letter from OpenAI lay open on the table. His phone was silent, notifications turned off. In moments like this, he preferred silence. It helped him think clearly. A few days later, Elon flew to another city. This time, he wasn't going to talk about rockets or cars. He was meeting a team of researchers, some of the best in the world, who had worked quietly on a new kind of artificial intelligence. They were not as famous as the teams at OpenAI or Google, but their work was powerful and promising. Elon listened to them carefully. They showed him prototypes, explained their vision, and shared their challenges. As he asked questions, his mind was already working on a plan, not just to support them, but to build something bigger. If OpenAI would not join him, then he would build an alternative. He had done it before. When people told him that electric cars were impossible, he built Tesla. When they said private space travel was a fantasy, he launched SpaceX. And now, with artificial intelligence becoming more important every day, he would not sit still. Back in California, the news had started to spread. A few journalists had noticed something unusual: private meetings, quiet visits to AI labs, and unusual hiring activity from Elon's companies. Rumors began to appear in the media. Is Elon starting a new AI company? One headline asked. Another read, Musk versus OpenAI? Elon did not confirm anything. He kept working behind the scenes. He began reaching out to engineers, scientists, and designers who shared his vision. He offered them freedom, resources, and a chance to build something meaningful. One of them was a young woman named Clara. She had worked at a major tech company but left after feeling that the company's goals had shifted toward profit, not progress. When Elon spoke with her, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time: excitement. She joined the team that week. As more people came together, the shape of the new organization began to form. It would be called XAI, an open, transparent, and responsible AI company focused on truth and alignment with human values. Elon wanted it to challenge the big players, not just in speed, but in purpose. Meanwhile, inside OpenAI, the mood was shifting. Some employees had heard about the rejected offer. Others noticed that a few of their colleagues were quietly leaving to join something new, something they were not allowed to talk about. At first, the leadership at OpenAI ignored it. They believed their mission was strong, their team loyal. But over time, they realized that something had changed. The conversation outside their walls was no longer about their success. It was about whether they could stay ahead. Elon's presence in the AI world was growing again. He appeared on interviews, podcasts, and conferences, speaking not with anger but with clarity. He did not attack OpenAI. Instead, he talked about the dangers of artificial intelligence, the importance of alignment, and the need for open systems that respected human rights. His words reached millions. Young programmers, researchers, and entrepreneurs listened carefully. Many of them had grown up watching Elon build impossible things. Now, they wanted to be part of his next mission. In the background, global governments had also started to take notice. Artificial intelligence was no longer just a technology, it was becoming a tool of influence, power, and even conflict. Laws were being written. Regulations were being discussed. And every decision mattered. One official in Europe described it this way: the future of AI is not just technical. It's political. Whoever leads it may shape the next 50 years. Elon understood this. That's why he had returned. He wasn't just trying to compete with OpenAI. He was trying to guide the direction of the whole field. And he believed that only a mission-driven team, not driven by profit, but by purpose, could lead that path. He worked day and night, holding meetings, reviewing research, and building partnerships. His new AI company was growing fast. But with growth came responsibility. Elon knew he had to move carefully. One wrong step and trust could be lost. Meanwhile, OpenAI faced its own challenges. With new competition rising and public attention shifting, their leadership began to review their strategy. Should they change direction? Should they open more of their systems? Should they reconnect with the public in a new way? The world of AI was entering a new phase, one defined by choices, voices, and powerful ideas. And Elon Musk, rejected but not defeated, had placed himself at the center of it once again. Elon Musk stood near the large windows of a high-rise office in downtown San Francisco. The city below was waking up slowly, but inside his mind, the pace was much faster. He watched the fog roll over the bay, but his thoughts were with the future, one shaped by artificial intelligence, power, and responsibility. The past few weeks had been intense. His new AI company, XAI, was no longer just a vision, it had a growing team, early prototypes, and a public mission that inspired people around the world. But as momentum built, so did the challenges. Internally, Elon had started to ask deeper questions, not just about technology, but about trust. How do you build artificial intelligence that respects human values? How do you make sure it doesn't go off course? And how do you invite the world to help guide it? That's when he made a bold decision. He announced that XAI would open source some of its models. While others were locking up their algorithms, Elon was choosing transparency. He believed that knowledge should not be trapped behind closed doors. The internet had grown because it was open. Maybe AI could too. The response was immediate. Some experts praised him, saying it was the right step. Others warned it was dangerous. But Elon wasn't surprised. Big ideas always caused debate. What mattered was staying true to the mission. Meanwhile, the tension between Elon's vision and OpenAI's path became a quiet but powerful story. Without attacking each other, the two organizations began to show the world two different models for the future of AI. OpenAI remained focused on careful alignment and gradual progress, often working with government bodies and partners. XAI moved faster, with less red tape, more freedom, and a willingness to take risks. They were not enemies. They were reflections of different ideas: safety versus speed, control versus openness. But there was one more twist to come. Late one evening, Elon received a message from someone inside OpenAI. It was not an offer or a complaint. It was a quiet request for a meeting. The person didn't speak for the whole company, but they wanted to talk, not as a representative, but as a human being who cared deeply about the future of intelligence. Elon agreed. They met in a quiet, private space. No cameras, no microphones, no teams, just two people who had dedicated their lives to pushing boundaries. They spoke for hours about alignment, ethics, power, fear, and the invisible lines that separated progress from danger. One moment stood out. The OpenAI member said, "We were inspired by your early vision. But over time, our fears grew bigger than our hopes. Maybe that's why we said no." Elon listened. He didn't argue. He understood. Then he replied, "Fear is useful, but only when it doesn't stop us from dreaming." After that meeting, something shifted, not just in Elon's mind, but across the AI world. More companies began talking openly about their models. Researchers started new collaborations. Public debates turned more thoughtful, less aggressive. Elon knew this was not the end of the journey. It was just the beginning. The world was waking up to the reality that AI wasn't just a tool. It was a mirror. It reflected who we were, what we feared, and what we hoped to become. And whether through rejection, rivalry, or reflection, Elon had managed to push the conversation forward. In a quiet post on his social media, Elon wrote, "The future is not written by machines. It's written by the people who build them." And people listened. Governments began to study XAI's transparency model. Universities started teaching students about open alignment practices. Small startups began building tools inspired by XAI's code. The world, once fearful of a single AI superpower, was now witnessing a network of shared progress. At OpenAI, some things changed too. While they did not shift their entire mission, they began to open some parts of their work to public review. A quiet but healthy competition had emerged, one that kept both sides sharp, focused, and, most importantly, human. Elon continued to lead, not from a throne, but from the front lines, writing code, reviewing designs, and meeting young thinkers who reminded him of himself 20 years ago. He smiled often but never relaxed. There was always more to do. Because the future wasn't waiting. It was being built one decision at a time. And maybe, just maybe, rejection had opened the right door after all. Now, before we wrap up, let's take a moment to reflect. Through this story, you didn't just follow an exciting real-world drama, you actually learned English in a natural, powerful way. Without even trying too hard, you absorbed useful grammar, advanced sentence structures, and real-world vocabulary. That's the power of learning through stories. It's emotional. It sticks with you. And it makes language something you feel, not just something you memorize. If you enjoyed this story, imagine how much more you can learn with us. Every day, we share stories like this, exciting, emotional, and written just for English learners like you. You'll practice reading and listening, grow your vocabulary, and improve your understanding without stress or boring textbooks. So make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like this video, and share it with a friend who's learning English too. And here's your challenge: leave a comment in English telling us what you think about Elon Musk's approach. Was he right to build his own company after being rejected? Do you think transparency in AI is a good idea? Write your thoughts below, we read every comment. Thanks for watching. See you in the next story tomorrow.